man, it's survival, rival. I ain't got no time for anyone who ain't put in the work that I do. You ain't heard about it, think I'm gonna remind you. I've been out here doing what I say, it's what defines you. This is our time, hands to the sky. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. Hands to the sky, this is our time. You already know, I ain't gotta tell them why. This is our house.
All right, what's up, Rundown listeners? I'm one of your co-hosts, Ben Peterson, alongside your other co-host, Justin Taverner. It's Super Bowl week, baby. Justin, are you excited, man?
Yeah. I mean, I wish my team was playing in it, but, you know, I think this would be a good matchup.
Yeah, for sure. It's, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, it's crazy that we're already here. Feels like just yesterday, as we've said before, that we just recorded our preseason episode, but here we are. I don't know about you, but my friend Harlan is hosting a Super Bowl party this weekend, and I'm pumped to put on my Derrick Henry Titans jersey and my Titans gear and go watch what I hope is a great game. I don't really have a team that I'm rooting for in this Super Bowl, but I do have a team I'm picking to win, which we'll get into later. Are you doing anything fun for the Super Bowl?
I'm not sure yet. I know some guys in my fantasy football league had talked about getting together. Haven't decided 100% if I'm going, just because I'm not super interested in the teams that are playing. But, you know, we'll see.
I gotcha. Well, before we get into our breaking news, and our surprise for our listeners, Justin, I know you had a special message that you wanted to share, so why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, it comes with a heavy heart, as we have learned that this morning, Toby Keith has passed away at the age of 62. He was battling stomach cancer. He was surrounded by his friends and family as he passed. He was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2015. And I just, want to say that our thoughts and prayers here at the Rundown are with him, or with his family. Yeah, just sucks. He was a great artist. And I know some of my earliest memories were, growing up listening to him on the radio. So it was a tragic loss for sure.
Absolutely. Definitely very sad news. And, just like you said, our thoughts and prayers with his family. I'm not the biggest country music fan, but I mean, even I have had memories of listening to like his music with my mom in the car, like over the summers and stuff. So definitely feel you a little bit there. It always sucks to see like someone you grew up listening to, pass. So just like we said, thoughts and prayers, and, we just wanted to say that. So, Justin, thank you. Well said. And now we can get on to our sports news. But we actually have a surprise for our listeners this week. So let me get him in here really quick. And then we will get rolling with the breaking news segment. But, it is our pleasure to welcome longtime friend of the show and previous guest from week 4, Robert Byrd. Hey, there he is. Rob, welcome, man. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you all doing? My cat Ringo says hi too.
Hey, we're doing good, man. It's been a fun season for sure, and we appreciate your support, and it's always nice having you on. Justin just talked about the passing of Toby Keith, and thought we might change it up a little bit this week. So I'm actually going to put you on the spot, and you are going to lead our breaking news segment, or maybe your cat Ringo there.
Yeah, he might join in with us. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely. So if you can read the headlines and then give us your thoughts and any questions you may have for us or anything with that. But without further ado, here's the breaking news with Robert Byrd.
All right. Huge media news breaking about 5 p.m. Eastern time today. ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers are planning to launch a joint sports streaming service later this year. This would place content from ESPN, TNT, and Fox Sports on a new standalone app. So far, there's not a price or name for this app. Guys, what do you think about this major news from the sports media world?
What is this, cable?
That was my first thought.
Like, I it's cool. Like, as a sports fan, it'll be nice if we have like truly everything in one spot, because that's been my frustration a lot lately, is just, you know, having to have Paramount and Prime Video and YouTube TV and
Peacock.
And I want it all streamlined. So I mean, that part's kind of nice, but at the same time, it's like, really another streaming service.
Yeah, that was my first thought. That was my big thought. My thought when I saw this news, I was like, this is literally just cable. When the streaming wars started, maybe I guess it's been about 2 or 3 years ago, when, like, you know, Netflix has been around for forever. I feel like Hulu's been around for a while. It was around the time when, like, Disney Plus, Peacock, HBO Max, a lot of streaming services came out all at once, and I figured there's just going to be a time where we're just going to all mesh back into cable.
Right.
And I genuinely believe in, like, this is just the start of that. Give it like 10 or 15 years max, and it will be like that for, like, it's like, oh, yeah, we hate to go back and forth between HBO Max, YouTube TV, Hulu. Here's an idea. Let's put it all in one place, also known as cable.
And Spectrum is just over here like, wait.
Yeah, Spectrum's just biding its time, waiting for the big surge to come back for cable.
Good old Spectrum. All right.
Yeah. Next on the breaking news headlines, Klay Thompson, legendary Warriors guard and four-time NBA champion Klay Thompson, has been benched during the closing minutes of Warriors games. Guys, how sad has his decline been? Justin, I'll start with you.
So my fiance asked me to wash the dishes, and I looked at her and I screamed, "Klay Thompson!" And she smiled because she knew that they were washed. No, it is sad. It is sad because, you know, growing up in high school, you know, watching him just dominate with Steph Curry, you know, and the Splash Bros, like they were so fun to watch, and it just feels like it wasn't a steady decline like you see with a lot of NBA players. It was just like a sudden drop where, like, he doesn't look comfortable shooting the ball. It doesn't look like a natural shot like it used to for him. It looks like everything that he's trying to do, he's like forcing himself to get through the motions and take shots and all of this stuff. And it's just sad to see, you know, the such rapid decline in such a great player.
Justin, do you remember that video that I sent you on Instagram a couple of years ago of those guys that were like playing basketball on top of a mountain?
Yeah.
So I think Klay Thompson's decline is like what would happen if one of them had to go chase a rebound. Like, before he got hurt, he was putting up shots on top of the mountain, and then it's like he woke up and that man was at the bottom of the valley. Like, that, yeah. And it sucks because it's like he has flashes of greatness still, but it's like I don't think he has quite come to terms yet with the fact that he is not the same man that he was previously, and it's really hard to see. Like, it really is. I mean, he shot 4 of 19 the other night when the Warriors lost, on a night that Steph Curry dropped 60 and they lost in overtime to the Hawks. I think
anytime you have one player that drops 60 points and you still lose is a pretty bad sign.
That's a bad sign. And, like, he was 2 of 13 from 3, and at some point I know you're a legendary three-point shooter, but at some point you just got to come to terms with it. It's just not my night, man. Like, you just have to have that time of, you know, you put up 13 three-pointers. If you don't hit 6 of them, that was a bad night.
Yeah.
He hit 2.
I think Justin, you made a point about his decline has been so, like, drastic. I wonder, you know, there was those like 2 years or so where he was injured, and I wonder if he had played the whole time, if we had seen a more steady decline, then it wouldn't be as shocking. I think it just seems so shocking, given that we saw him, I guess, in 2019 against the Raptors when he hurt for the first time. He comes back in 22, and he has to take his time to work his way back from being injured for so long, but he looks okay, not the same player. But then ever since then, it's just been not the same at all. And for someone who really enjoyed watching those Warriors teams. It's really, and still does. I mean, Curry's one of the best ever, and but it's really sad to watch this decline that we've seen.
For sure.
All right, next up, Joel Embiid, reigning league MVP, is to miss at least 4 weeks after having surgery to repair a torn meniscus. The 65-game requirement, which is at the center of this injury news, has been getting pushback from players. Ben, I'll start with you. What do you think about the requirements?
So I heard Colin Cowherd put this into perspective for me, but the players are being asked to play 79% of their games to be eligible for awards and the bonuses that come with those, and these like legacy building accolades. They're being asked to play 79% of their games in a season, which, when I stepped back and thought about it more, can you imagine if my boss was having to fight with me to show up for 79% of my work days? I wouldn't have a job. Like, I understand being injured, and obviously if you're hurt, you shouldn't play. Like, fully, as someone who has struggled with injuries myself throughout my life, like, fully support that. But when you get to this point where you've got guys taking nights off and you got guys quote unquote ducking teams and stuff like that, you've got, Greg Popovich with the Spurs doing all the load management stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's just something about it is not as impressive if you have a star play, 50 games in a season and then they make a deep playoff run because they're healthier than every other team. It's like any sport, right? Nobody's healthy at the end of the year. And if you're fresh, it means you didn't play enough. And so,
yeah,
I don't know. The more that I think about it, the more that I don't side with the players that much on this one. Like, I feel like the NBA has a responsibility to the fans to put its best product out there so that they will continue spending money on it. And, I think about it like, if I saved up money to go see my favorite player play the game and they didn't play because they were just taking a rest night, and I spent all that money on travel and tickets and everything, like, I'm probably never buying another ticket. Like, that would be devastating. And I feel like the players have gotten away from the point. The point is to play basketball. Like, that's why you're being paid. Regardless of everything else, you're being paid to play a game. And so I think that if you're healthy, you should play.
Yeah.
For sure.
My feelings on this are, I think it was either Charles Barkley or Kenny the Jet Smith say this the other night on TNT. The players with the whole game management requirement or game minimum requirement to get awards, to be qualified for awards, this is a problem that you created yourselves.
Right.
Like you said, Ben, the load management situation. And I mean, I get it to an extent. Like, of course, you want to preserve your body. But if it's gotten to the point where you have all 5 starters for a championship or even playoff qualifying team resting on a Tuesday night in February, when you have maybe a family of 5 that has paid hundreds of dollars to go see, the Spurs or the Heat or whoever play, and you're not getting to see Jimmy Butler or Wembanyama or LeBron or whoever it may be, that's a problem the NBA needs to solve. And not just for that, but for viewership on TV. I mean, fans are not going to want to tune in and watch 5 dudes play, 5, 6, 7 dudes play they've never heard of before.
Like the Memphis Grizzlies starting lineup the other day.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, everybody and their mother is injured in Memphis right now.
That's true, but you sent me that
when
lineup
I
and
those names. Ooh.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah. Yeah. Who the
The
heck are those
entire
guys?
lineup.
Yeah. And if you're injured, I mean, and you're seriously injured, that's one thing. But also, I'd be like, it's just an unfortunate consequence of being injured. Like, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to qualify for MVP or most improved player, or whatever it may be. So I really don't have much sympathy for the players in that situation. I mean, it sucks for them, but I don't have a whole lot of extra sympathy.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue I have with it is the legacy of the NBA and the responsibility that these players have to continue that legacy. Back in the 80s, it was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. They were playing 70, 80 games a year. And then in the 90s, it was Michael Jordan. He was playing 80 games a year. I think it was like not like 7 of his 11 seasons or something like that. He played all 82 games.
I mean, even you look at LeBron.
And then
I mean, up until the
yeah,
last couple
LeBron,
of
he's
years,
played the most minutes of all time. And like, and you know, I understand being injured. You can't help that. That's just a part of playing the game. But it's the responsibility that those guys felt being the face of the league. That you know you have to carry that to help promote your not only your own brand but the NBA's brand, because the better the NBA does, the better that you are going to do individually in terms of making money. Because if people are tuning in to watch, you know, Kevin Durant play and he's not playing, then people aren't going to watch that. Then the NBA is not making as much money, and then in turn, you know, these teams don't have as much money in their salary cap, and like all of that stuff. Like it all goes into the revenue of the NBA and building the brand that is the NBA. And if you're not playing because you choose to sit out, I think you absolutely should be punished. So I have to agree with both of you. I have nothing. I have no quarrels with this 65 game minimum at all.
Well, and what I think too. Sorry, Rob. What I think too is the contracts for players have gotten so lucrative that, you know, who cares about, like, a lot of these players I feel like don't play because they love the game. They play because it's life-changing generational wealth. And you see that a lot with, I mean, even, you know, James Harden in his past. I mean, he's an MVP of the league. He's like led the league in scoring like 4 years in a row. And yet they'd be in the playoffs and he would be at a strip club or something instead of practicing with his team. And it's like, I think it's going to get to a point where, like, I don't think this 65 game requirement, I know it's getting pushback right now because it's new, but I really don't see it being a huge deterrent for players, because the vast majority of players I feel like don't care about legacy like that. Because, I mean, sure, I may have only won, you know, I may not have won a championship, but I got $235 million like in 5 years. Like, okay. I think it's going to come down to like a stipulation in the contract. I think is what it's going to end up being, that like your contract is worth up to this much, but if you play 80% or less of your games, it cuts by X amount, because ultimately it's screwing the teams over too, who pay all this money to these players for them to not play half the season or whatever. Like, you pay them to make a difference on your team. They're not making a difference if they're on the sideline.
Yeah, very true. Next up on our list of topics, we have a lot of Lakers and LeBron drama potentially. Rumors have been circulating that around trade rumors around NBA legend and arguably GOAT LeBron James. Do y'all think there's any truth to these rumors? And if so, where would LeBron go?
Is the team no, I'm
so so you know, I know there's been a lot of drama, and I know there's been some teams that have been thrown out there. I think the two teams that I would see being most viable would be the Knicks and the Thunder. Both teams are very similar, and they have a lot of good young talent. You know, a couple superstars. You know, the Thunder with SGA and Chet, the Knicks with Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. And they have a lot of movable pieces. You know, like the Thunder have Josh Giddey, and I think they probably don't want to part with Jalen Williams, but I think Lou Dort would be on the trading block there. They have a plethora of picks and a ton of cap space. And the Knicks are the same way, minus as many picks. But they have a bunch of movable pieces to be able to make a trade like that happen. However, I think with the deadline being just 2 days away, I have a hard time seeing a deal of that magnitude get done.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think, you know, I've seen rumors where it's like, oh, this was just a ploy to get the Lakers to, you know, or do this or whatever. Yeah, it's not going to happen in my opinion. What really is going to happen, I think, is that LeBron has said for a long time, wherever Bronny goes when he gets to the NBA, that's where he's going to play. Now, we've seen,
and he is a free agent after this year.
And he is a free agent. However, Bronny, with all due respect to him, is really he's fine. He's not great. And he's on a sub 500 USC Trojans team right now. and is not even their best player. So it would literally just be a situation where Bronny would be drafted just if there's a team if it was legitimately the case where LeBron would go to Orlando, if they drafted Bronny, that's where he would go. And honestly, I would feel terrible for Bronny because everyone would know that's literally why you're being drafted maybe late first round when you were really not that great on a pretty bad USC team. So I don't know. That's what I'm more interested to see how that'll play out. If it actually does play out, I don't know if it will or not, but I guess we shall see.
Okay, so I'll take the other side of this argument then. I think I agree with you both that I don't see a trade of this magnitude happening with this short of time left, but just for funsies, why don't I throw a potential trade to you guys? Klay Thompson, Jonathan Kuminga, and a second for LeBron. So the Lakers, what they lack is another defensive piece, which Jonathan Kuminga is pretty good at. They could use some more shooting, which Klay Thompson wouldn't have to be, like, he wouldn't have to be a starter, or he wouldn't have to live up to the magnitude of having, Steph Curry with him in the Warriors dynasty. Jonathan Kuminga would give the Lakers a little bit more youth, and LeBron is a great piece to pair alongside Steph. The only reason I would see that not working is because I think the Warriors want to keep Jonathan Kuminga. But it was an idea that I saw on Twitter earlier that I kind of wanted to pitch here.
So the reason I don't see that working is because at this point in LeBron's career, he's got to be looking at how can I win a championship, and
True.
Seeing as though the Warriors are further down than the Lakers in the standings, that makes it an even bigger hole to climb out of for him to just make the playoffs at this point. It makes it really tough. I would be genuinely surprised. So I threw out the Thunder and the Knicks because the Thunder are tied for the best team in the West, and the Knicks are third or fourth in the East right now. Like, they're two very contending teams.
You know what? Screw it. Let's do LeBron to Denver for next year's first round, or this year's first round pick, and Aaron Gordon.
Are the Nuggets?
Could you imagine though, LeBron?
All right,
with
slow down.
Jokic?
That would be wild.
LeBron with Jokic and Jamal Murray. Good lord.
I would love to see the LeBron to the Warriors trade purely for the next 2 to 3 hour reaction on ESPN and Twitter, just for people's minds to explode. The fact that LeBron and Steph would be on the same team, purely for that reason. Don't think it would work.
You see, I don't want to see that because to most of the Jordan fans, that would disqualify LeBron from ever being considered as the GOAT.
That's fair. Yeah.
All right.
Next up on our list of topics, 2 more to go. Breaking news topics. The Washington football team hires former Cardinals head coach and young offensive guru, Cliff Kingsbury, as their offensive coordinator. Is this a good hire? Ben, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I could have sworn that they were the communists or something now. I didn't think they were the football team
Close
anymore.
enough.
Yeah. No,
they're still the Redskins.
I'm calling them the football team. Yeah.
The Commanders. Anyway, I love this hire. Cliff Kingsbury got the Arizona Cardinals to the playoffs in a division with Sean McVay and Pete Carroll. Like, I know that they weren't world beaters or anything, but Cliff Kingsbury is a very bright offensive mind, like you said, and I think this is a fantastic hire. And I think what this shows is that Dan Quinn wants to win. And so he's traditionally a defensive guy. He's a defensive coordinator, and so he wants someone who is a bright offensive mind to lead his offense. I think it's a very great move by him, and Washington, low key, is sneakily could be a really good team next year. If you told me they were,
I don't want to say Justin Wright, but I did say as one of my hot takes that if they got Caleb Williams, which I don't think they're going to, but even Drake May, even if they get Drake May with the right coaching hires, which I think they have, they're going to make the playoffs next year. And I think that's very viable right now.
Absolutely.
I don't want to say anything, but
For sure. I think, yeah, no, I love this hire for them, and I think if they get the quarterback right, like honestly, I'd be okay with like LSU Daniels. I'd be okay with him too.
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, yeah, I'd be honestly might like him a little more. But you get Jaden Daniels, he's got Terry McLaurin, he's got Curtis Samuel. Get him a couple more weapons, get a little bit of stuff to bolster the O-line and fix the defense, and suddenly you've got a really scary team that could be like a wild card team next year. So I love this hire.
I agree. I think Jaden Daniels will end up being their pick just because I think at the combine he will wow teams like Anthony Richardson did last year with his athletic ability, his running capabilities, and I think he'll probably catapult Drake May.
Just a word of caution, I will say, which I'm on your side, but Zach Wilson wowed teams at the pro day for what it's worth. So
Very true.
Let's take that with a grain of salt.
Not guaranteed.
Yeah, but let's not sit here and act like the Jets are a functional organization.
Fair.
The Commanders have a very new and a very smart owner.
True.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, I think he's a great choice as your offensive coordinator. Somehow he's been around for or at least relevant in the sports world for 12 years or so, and he still looks like he's 32 years old, which is crazy to me. He was Johnny Manziel's OC at A&M. He was with Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech, and really wasn't that great at Texas Tech as I believe their head coach with Mahomes, at least record-wise. Mahomes put up insane numbers. And then the Cardinals, he was good but not great. And so I think he's shown that as an offensive coordinator, he is an excellent choice. He had coached Johnny Manziel, Patrick Mahomes in college, and Kyler Murray in the NFL.
In his defense, though, Texas Tech is not exactly known for having a defense.
True. No, true. I completely agree with you. I
Patrick
completely agree
Mahomes
with you.
putting up 700-yard games. What
Yeah.
are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, I think for Washington that needs some if you got him and you get a quarterback, whether it's Drake May or Jaden Daniels, that's going to really just put a lot of juice in your offense and going to, if nothing else, bring the fans out. That's for sure. And I think it'll end up being a really good hire for them.
Perfect.
All righty. Justin, you have any thoughts on that or good to go?
I'm good.
Okay. Last on breaking news topics, and this is a little more for me personally. Kentucky basketball has lost 3 of its last 4 games, including a thumping by those dirty orange volunteers, Tennessee, on Saturday, and that was not fun to watch. They play Vanderbilt tonight, actually, right now. They just tipped off on the road in Nashville. Vanderbilt, the Commodores are a whopping 1-7 in SEC play. Their one win came Saturday against the other winless team in the SEC, Missouri. Is it time to hit the panic button for this season's Kentucky team? I could do a whole 3 hours on this, so I will give you my quick 60-second rundown.
Rundown.
No.
He said the thing.
Yeah, rundown. That was not even intentional. I'm not panicked on I am upset. I'm not panicked on this season yet because they've got an insane amount of talent, and they shouldn't have lost 3 or 4. They shouldn't have looked as bad against Tennessee as they did. They had some injuries, but it still shouldn't be that bad. I'm completely out, though, on John Calipari as being the coach that he used to be. We've seen a systematic pattern now of 4 years of not the standard that Kentucky basketball should be. And again, I could go a lot more in depth, but it's not panicked on the season as a whole, but I'm very worried.
Sorry, I was just laughing at our next guest for the next segment accidentally joined.
I saw that.
Yeah, no. So, I'm pretty sure all 3 of these losses were at home, right? At least 2 of them were. Yeah.
Two back-to-back to arguably your 2 biggest rivals, Florida and Tennessee.
Yeah, that's rough. No, as a Kentucky fan as well, I'm getting to be panic time because this Kentucky team just does not play a lick of defense at all.
They don't play a lick. They play if there's less than a lick, it's that. That's how little defense they play.
like Big Dog, they couldn't have stopped me out there against Tennessee.
No,
you gave up 103 points in a college basketball game.
And for reference, Tennessee, the previous game against South Carolina, who is good, they're 15th in the country now. Tennessee scored 59
Yeah.
total points in the game, and
Yeah.
against Kentucky, they put up 103.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, Kentucky went out against Arkansas and played like they'd never seen a basketball before.
Yeah,
I just it's so weird because this Kentucky team has like flashes of holy crap, this is the best team of college basketball, but then they have so many more moments it feels like of ugh, what is that? Like it's hard to kind of judge this team so far, but I don't like what I see, and I think if you're Calipari, you've got to start looking at making some big time changes. It doesn't help that they haven't been healthy all season. They've had various people out multiple times, but it's not. I'm not confident. I
yeah.
They're gonna have to do a lot
I'm
to
on.
bring me back.
Yeah, I'm only confident, or somewhat have confidence in that there's so much raw talent there they can put it together, but they're gonna have to in March, and I don't know if that's gonna happen or not.
All right, Justin. Any thoughts from you?
I don't really watch college basketball, so go Georgetown.
I can't imagine
Tigers.
why. I know your Ohio State Buckeyes are. No, it's a known basketball school.
They're trash. UC is actually pretty decent this year. I will say that.
I've watched some UC clips here and there, and for the Big 12, like the Big 12 has like 10 teams that might make the tournament, and they've really put up they put up a good fight.
No, I mean they're right in the thick of things. Like they're 2 games back from Houston, who's people consider the best team or one of the best teams in the country. So they've beaten Kansas. So I mean, yeah, they're right in the thick of things in the Big 12 for sure.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, that is all of our breaking news. I believe that was a lengthy one this week, but a lot has gone down. It's we've gotten the amount of games that we have going on are decreasing, but it feels like the storylines are increasing, and
That was very poetic.
yeah, thank you. I am looking forward to like the NFL postseason because I am genuinely curious how a lot of this free agent stuff is going to shake out. Hang on. All right, so now we will move into our next segment, which is something that Justin and I have thought about talking about, but have avoided until now. But it is we're going to address Taylor Swift. So joining us for that segment is my lovely wife, who is very blurry at the moment, who...
Oh, can you not see me good?
Can now. She is a social media account representative with Sublime Media Group here in Bowling Green, and she also happens to be a very big Taylor Swift fan, and so we just thought it would be fun to get a non-sports person's input on the Taylor Swift segment as well.
Yes, I'm here in the defense of Miss Swift.
So, just some quick background information. Taylor Swift just won her 13th and 14th Grammy Awards and became the first artist in music history to win 4 Album of the Year Grammys. She is uber successful and, of course, is dating one of the NFL's greatest receiving tight ends in history. A lot of the conversation around her lately with people are that they are upset that she is taking attention away from the game because she's being shown for roughly 30-ish seconds per broadcast, and honestly, that's ridiculous. Like what are we talking about? So personally, I'm very happy for her and Travis Kelce. I mean, they seem really happy. They're very supportive of each other, and they're very vocal about that, and I love that for them. Nothing about them dating annoys me or makes me angry. So I think that is the main thing that people are up in arms about, is like people being mad at her being shown and being at the game versus like her fans, basically. But I think what Justin and Rob and I have talked about is that there is kind of a third side of this argument where it's not necessarily like it's not her that gets on our nerves. Like we don't have any problem with her dating Travis Kelce or her being shown at the game, anything like that. I mean, guys have had their girlfriends shown at games forever. I mean, I know Tony Romo, when I can't remember who he was dating at the time, but they showed her when she was there, and they show Brittany Mahomes and people all the time. What does get on my nerves is the amount of content that sports media has published to try and capitalize on the biggest pop star in recent history, maybe ever, dating one of their players. You see, Taylor Swift has generated over $330 million for the NFL this year. And while I understand that they're going to try to do what they can to draw in more of her fans, it definitely feels like the media goes overboard with that. I mean, I believe when I checked, there were 15 posts about the AFC Championship game by ESPN and SportsCenter, and of those 15, 9 of them were either about Taylor Swift or used a quote or trend from her that is popular in her fan base to say that the Chiefs won. There's nothing wrong with following trends. I mean, Riley, that's kind of your whole field is keeping up with trends and striking while the iron is hot, as they say. But when your feed looks more like a pop culture timeline and is no longer providing sports insight, then you lose sight of your purpose and your viewers lose interest, I feel like. Now, most people nowadays have a short attention span with things. They lose interest fast, and when most sports fans before Taylor Swift started dating Kelsey were looking at these pages for sports related topics, they lose the desire to look and become overwhelmed at the amount of non-sports related content. I know I do this. I'll end my little spiel here with this. The people who are mad at Taylor are dumb. Like they're just dumb. She's there supporting her boyfriend, and people would be mad too if she wasn't there. I think that is kind of a good example of the double standard here, because there's unfair scrutiny on her as she's expected to be superhuman in that regard. Like, she's ultra successful and she's expected to be there for Travis, but also she isn't supposed to draw attention to herself because then she's conceited and full of herself and her status. But if she is shown on the TV, something that she has no control over, then she's taking too much away from the game. It's so stupid. Like, all of that is so dumb. Nobody questioned Travis Kelce for not showing up to the Grammys because he was preparing for the Super Bowl. But if Taylor isn't at the Super Bowl because she comes back from Tokyo the day before after several shows of her world tour, then reporters, all that they will be talking about is how that she's not a supportive girlfriend and only cares about herself. I genuinely do feel bad for her in that regard because she's not doing anything wrong, and yet in the eyes of some people, she can't do anything right in this situation. As for the media, I just think there needs to be more diversity in content, and I think a lot of the issues that like Justin and I especially have would be fine. Like, you can follow trends and capitalize on a megastar being involved, but just make sure that you don't, push away one demographic out, or don't push away one demographic to cater to another. There we go. So that was kind of my thoughts there. Did anyone have any comments, questions, concerns, want to fight me over what I said?
You summed that up pretty well.
I don't want to fight you, but I have some thoughts going off of what you said.
Okay.
Yeah. So, no, I really like what you said about the double standard, and I think because of how in the spotlight she is, people are gonna pick her apart. It even showed that after she won her Album of the Year award, picking her apart for her supposedly snubbing Celine Dion, which I don't believe to be the case. It came out recently that Celine Dion has rare type of illness, and it can hurt her to even be hugged or anything like that. So, like, they hugged backstage after Taylor talked to her, but, like, that's just an instance of them, like, picking her apart. And so people are mad at her over being shown at these games whenever Jason Kelce was there and took his shirt off and made a spectacle of himself, and everybody loved it and was like, look at him go, that's so much fun. And I'm like, yeah, that is fun. I don't have any problems with Jason Kelce, but they can't feel the same way about Taylor Swift. Like, if she's like reacting like really hyped up about it, they're like, oh, she's being too much.
How dare she dance with the crowd with that swag surf? Like, how dare she?
Yeah. Exactly. And As far as your point about ESPN like posting a lot about her and the media coverage of her, I do agree that it can be overwhelming the amount of coverage that is specifically on. The one thing we're seeing with Taylor Swift is like just this mania around her that we haven't seen with any other celebrity in my lifetime anyways. And it's like the last time there was probably this kind of mania around a celebrity was probably Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
So it's just wild, and he is probably the biggest star in the world right now. I don't think it's far-fetched to say that. And um it makes sense that they would want to capitalize on that, but as a social media representative, I always, for my account, say capitalize on trends when it's relevant, when you can make it work for you, and are making it work for them, because I mean she's part of the NFL in a way now, but you also want to keep your audience in mind. So they could probably do a better job balancing that. So I will agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. No, and we really appreciate your input there, because obviously we are just podcast hosts, and we watch the sports as the other demographic, you might say. So it's cool to hear some validation that we're not just being crazy about it, but also we, I guess, are some of the more level-headed ones that can tell the difference or separate the media from the star. So cool. Well, Rob,
My fear.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say my fear is that she's gonna get like burned out from all this coverage and go hide again for years. Like that's just what I hope doesn't happen, because being 1989 in Reputation, she just like disappeared for a few years and didn't come out. And like she was still very private for a long time when she was with Joe Alwyn, because he was more of a private person too. But now that she's with Travis, I feel like and even before she was with Travis, like just after the Joe Alwyn breakup, I feel like she felt more free to be herself, and part of that came with the Eras tour. Part of that came with attending the NFL games. Like she's just like living as close to a normal life as she can. She's there to support her boyfriend. She's there to have fun, and I just hope the media doesn't ruin it for her.
I was gonna say, so naturally they have to pick apart everything that she does.
Yeah, and one really interesting thing, and then I'll be quiet, but I saw a post today. So she released the track list for her new album yesterday, and there's a song on it called Clara Bow. Well, if you look up who Clara Bow was, she was an actress who was said to have a tumultuous personal life, and she was very picked apart for like her romantic endeavors and relationships and all of that, and she ended up having a breakdown and going sanatorium. So yeah, so I'm like, man, it really speaks volumes that she has a track named after this girl who was like picked apart by the public and then had a mental breakdown. So I hope that doesn't happen to her.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Taylor just goes 2007 Britney and just shaves the head.
I hope not.
That would not be good.
I hope not.
No, I think honestly though, I think that's a good reminder that and I think like you said, there's so much mania around her that a lot of people forget that there is a person behind the star. And that's the thing, and that's I think what's helped me in this craze around her in the NFL world is it's she's just there to watch the game and support her boyfriend. It's not her fault the amount of coverage she's getting. And of course, some people can't see that because it hurts their masculinity or whatever. But
yeah,
for me, it's just I understand it's not her. It's just the media is getting a little ridiculous with it. But yeah, Rob or Justin, did you guys have anything you wanted to add or?
No, I think you guys summed it up pretty well.
I will say, I have no problem with her attending. I really have a problem with her generally. I have no problem with her. I actually like some of her music, to be honest with you, if I'm just being completely real. But I do think it's good to have, like, especially from a sports podcast perspective and guys who that's their, like, first love maybe, to have, like, a really nuanced discussion about the pros and the cons, because just the
Mhm.
amount of hate that she gets where it's just people going online and literally just saying, derogatory comments towards her or saying she's stealing the NFL for me. I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, she's on there for 30 seconds. You can think that's too much, but like, especially if you're going to take it to that level, that's when it gets bad. But
Mm.
I think the points that we've made here are all pretty fair. And, and I have no, it's not her fault they're putting her on TV.
Yeah,
She can't help
Yeah.
she's the biggest star in the world. I'd argue she's the biggest female artist of all time, maybe her or Madonna. And like you
Mm.
said, Riley, I think the level of mania she's received recently is up there with like Michael Jackson, Elvis, and maybe the Beatles, and that may be it because she's everywhere.
Yeah.
So
for
I
sure.
don't know. I
Yeah.
hope she and Travis have a good relationship, however long it lasts. I hope the best for them. But yeah, I guess those are my thoughts.
Yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. And just like, like you said, she can't control the amount of time she's being shown. I read a stat that like literally throughout like 9 of the Chiefs games, she was only shown a total of 150 seconds, which is a little over 2 minutes. So for a total of that many games. So, it's really not that much time in the grand scheme of things, and she's generated more money for the NFL. And I keep reading stories about like who want to watch football with their dads now, and they're like bonding with the men in their life because of Taylor Swift. And I think that's like a really sweet thing, and it's sweet that she can broaden the fan base in that way too.
for
That's
sure.
the really good, really pure side of this whole thing. Is like that's
Mhm.
for all the people that want to say so mean and nasty things to her online. That's the good that's come out of this.
For sure. Well, Riley, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know usually you go hang out with your mom or leave while I'm doing the podcast, but it was fun to get you on and have your perspectives. So hope you have a good night,
Thanks
and
for having me.
yeah, we'll see you later.
I'll I'll talk
See
about
ya.
Taylor Swift anytime.
Oh, I know you will. Don't worry. All
Bye.
right, thanks, Riley.
Bye.
Rob, I'm laughing because that bye came so late after she left.
It really did.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. No, I thought that was a good segment. Kind of in the vein of what you were saying. Like, I know we're a sports podcast, but sports, whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of pop culture and a lot of current events can apply to sports, and so sometimes we gotta talk about it. And yeah, it was good to get it out there and get our thoughts out there and have a good discussion because a lot of people don't do that. On to the reason for the episode, the Super Bowl. So we're gonna do a little preview. We can talk about what each team needs to do to win the game, and then I'd like for us to predict who we think is going to win and the final score. So, Rob, why don't you start us off here? Give us your
All right.
thoughts.
Well, I hope the Chiefs win. I put a quite large money line bet on them to win. So for that reason alone, I really hope they win. No, in all seriousness though, um, I even if it was for that, I would pick the Chiefs to win. I would say probably the final score will be, if I had to guess, I'm gonna say 31-28. I'm to the point now, I think Justin, you said this last week when I was listening to the episode. As long as Patrick Mahomes is starting a game, I'm going to bet on him until he loses. He is at that level for me. It's the same as Tom Brady was in the 2010s when he won 4 Super Bowls. The Patriots went to a couple others, a couple more. And LeBron, at least for the Eastern Conference, when LeBron was with the Cavs, I was going to keep betting on him until he lost. Um, so, I think for the 49ers to win, Brock Purdy needs to play really well. He needs to be consistent with the ball. He doesn't need to make any mistakes, turn the ball over. Christian McCaffrey, just keep doing what you're doing. He's been great all year. Um, I do think the key for the 49ers offense, though, is just Brock Purdy don't mess up. The 49ers can obviously win, and I think if he doesn't mess up, and he last week was one of the best games I've seen him play in his entire career. Um, and especially when he was running the ball, I couldn't believe he was that good with when he was running the ball like he did when he would scramble against the Lions. So I'm picking the Chiefs 31-28. Um, but the 49ers, I think it's going to be a really good game. I hope it's not a blowout. I don't think it will be at all.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. Yeah, no, I second that. I think Brock Purdy needs to just play mistake free. And I think I'd be willing to go as far as to say that I don't think he's a game manager. I'm not gonna say that he's the difference maker for that team, but I think what he has done, and I read you the stats either last week or the week before about what Brock Purdy has done the 3 weeks prior to that Baltimore game and the 3 weeks after. It's incredible. I think he has proven that he is one of the top quarterbacks in this league. So I don't think that he needs to just go out there and game manage. I think that he is capable of going out there and winning that game. I think their offense needs to run through Christian McCaffrey. I think the biggest way or the best way to give yourself a chance to beat Patrick Mahomes is to not play Patrick Mahomes' style of football and not get into a shootout with him. You don't want him on the field for more time than you're on the field. You want to limit how much he is on the field, because when he's on the field, he's going to make fantastic throws. He's going to make great plays, and he's going to put his team in a position to win. So, I think that's the Niners' key to success. I think the Chiefs, their key to success is establishing the run game. Pacheco needs to, have a good game, and their offense just needs to continue to run through Travis Kelce, because he has 3-4 touchdowns in the postseason. And he's shown that while it looked like he regressed during the regular season, he is still Travis Kelce, and he's still one of the best tight ends of all time. So I think their offense and their passing game needs to continue to run through him. And I think if that's the case, the Chiefs have a chance to win this game. I said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million times. As much as I hate the Chiefs because they're the Bengals' rival right now, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Travis Kelce, on their team, it's really hard to bet against them. So with that being said, I have to go Chiefs here. I'm going to say Chiefs win it 24-20.
So, Rob, you said that Justin said that last week, but let's be honest. Justin said that week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. Like,
I did.
He did.
I did. And it pains me to say it.
He's been on that all year, and, I tried to take the cute take of, oh, well, the Chiefs are done. They don't have the magic anymore. Listen, I was wrong. And, I try to, as far as the whole, sports analyst side of things go, I try to take the same approach that Colin Cowherd does, where once I get new information, I can change my opinion. And I was wrong. Because the Chiefs, who led the league in drops this year, last week against the Ravens, they didn't have a single drop. And they just played. They've been playing their best football at the right time, and it's like you just said, you get what am I saying? You get Patrick Mahomes, you get Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. They're a different team. Travis Kelce, I think, had probably the game of his career last week. Maybe not the best statistical, but the most important performance he could have right there. I guess I'm starting with Chiefs because I've mentioned a lot of Chiefs stuff. So the key for the Chiefs is that their defense is going to have to play lights out like they have been. The 49ers just have so many weapons. Your defense is really going to have to focus on slowing down Debo and Christian McCaffrey if you want to limit the offense. I think you have to force Brock Purdy to beat you. I mean, he did prove he could against the Lions, but there is still more tape of him folding under pressure than there is of him succeeding under pressure. I think Kansas City, you take away the run and you make Purdy throw 40 times, and I think you're going to start to get some mistakes there. I think Rashee Rice Valdez-Scantling are going to have to make one or two big catches in this game. I think Travis Kelce, I think he's going to have a vintage performance. I think he's going to have a great game, but there's going to need to be a couple of big plays outside of him. I just feel like the 49ers offense has the potential to be so explosive that I think you're just going to need more than just Travis Kelce if you want a chance to win this game. I think Isaiah Pacheco needs the ball 15 times or more. I want to see, as that tweet said, I want to see him run like he bites people all game, because you get him going and you keep the 49ers offense off the field. That's I think, the keys for Kansas City. As far as the 49ers go, Brock Purdy's got to play mistake-free football. First and foremost, if he turns the ball over like he did against Baltimore, they're going to get annihilated. Like, if Brock Purdy goes out there and throws 2 or more interceptions, I think Kansas City wins by 10, at least. Christian McCaffrey is going to need to have a great game. He needs 20 to 25 carries, and I think that's going to be the key. The 49ers defense needs to pressure Mahomes. He's shown, especially this year, that under pressure he's not as good, which, to be fair, he's had some good throws while he was under pressure that have hit his receivers in the hands, and they just haven't caught. So, I'll cut him a little but of slack there. But, I feel like we're a little bit of an echo chamber here as far as our keys to win, because a lot of us have said the same thing. But to kind of echo Justin, the 49ers offense, they need to establish the run early. And they need to limit the number of times Brock Purdy is forced to throw. Like we've said, the key to beating Patrick Mahomes is to keep him off the field as much as possible, not play his style of game. You start playing the same game as Patrick Mahomes, you're going to lose. Unless you're Jared Goff that one random night in 2018 where you outduel Patrick Mahomes, you're going to lose.
Very true.
That being said, I agree. I'm going to pick Kansas City here. The 49ers can talk all they want about I love that post where they were like, underdogs yet again. It's like, bro, you've been favored in all 20 of your games. I actually, where I will differ from you all, is I think Kansas City wins, and I think they win 34-24.
Do you think they're in control most of the game?
I think it's closer early, and then I think Brock Purdy, they get down, the moment gets too big, and I think he throws a pick six or just a couple interceptions that Kansas City is able to capitalize on, and it's just not enough. So
we both said about Brock Purdy, he's got to play mistake-free, and the 49ers got whooped in the first half against the Lions, and he showed.
He did show,
he
and
come back and do it.
And I did qualify that. I did say he did show us against the Lions, but that there is still a lot more film of him folding than there is him succeeding there.
Very true. And the Super Bowl's a whole nother level than the NFC Championship game. NFC Championship game's big, but the Super Bowl's a whole nother ballpark.
Absolutely.
And let's not act like Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes are on the same level. Jared Goff is a very good quarterback, B+, A-. He's not Patrick Mahomes.
No, he is like the definition of a game manager. But I have a question for everyone. I will start, and then we'll let y'all go. But if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, is Andy Reid the greatest coach of all time? For me, I think yes. So at that point, he will have the following accolades: the 2004 NFC champion, a 5-time AFC champion, 3-time Super Bowl champion, 6 straight AFC championship appearances, 18 seasons with 10 or more wins, including 9 straight seasons and 10 of 11 since he became Kansas City's head coach in 2013. In his tenure as Kansas City's head coach, he has had 1 season in which he did not have 10 or more wins. He'll be 258 and 144 in the regular season for his career, which is a 641 winning percentage. And then in the Kansas City era, he'll be 128 and 51, which is an outlandish .715 winning percentage.
That's crazy.
So he's winning 72% of his games as a head coach at Kansas City. That is insane. In the playoffs, again, this is assuming a Super Bowl win. He'd be 26-16 through his entire career, with his Kansas City record being 16-7 with 3 Super Bowl wins and 4 appearances. This is arguably the greatest 6-year stretch we've ever seen from a head coach, but his tenure since joining Kansas City has been unmatched. I mean, he's had Alex Smith, and then Alex Smith, again, is kind of like that Jared Goff level. Like, Alex Smith is the president of the Game Managers Club. He said so himself.
Yes, self-appointed.
We've seen him be successful without his star quarterback, and I think that's the main difference between him and, Bill Belichick, who people would argue is the greatest head coach ever now. Bill has been downright awful without Tom Brady, but Andy Reid has only had 3 losing seasons ever in his 25 years of coaching. And only 7 of his 25 years of coaching have been below double-digit wins. 22 of his 25 coaching seasons, he has been at or above 500. It's insane. He's shown incredible ability to adapt to the changing game and a talent for drafting and developing younger guys. If they win this Super Bowl, I don't think there's much of an argument, in my opinion. But I'm curious on y'all's thoughts on that question as well.
Yeah, I think the only argument for, greatest coach of all time is Bill Belichick. I think for me, while we can disregard Bill Belichick, he wasn't good without Tom Brady. He still has 6 rings.
He does, and I'm not.
So I think for me, it would take at least 4. So if he could win this one and another, it's kind of like that LeBron and Michael Jordan.
Well, if he wins this
Jordan
one,
has 6 rings.
If he wins this one and another, he three-peats as well.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying he has to win it, 2 consecutive years or 3 consecutive years, but if he wins this year and then 2 or 3 years later wins another one,
I got you.
Just throughout the rest of his career, if he wins a 4th one, then I don't think we can have a conversation. I think he is undoubtedly the GOAT. But I think while he is still 3 Super Bowls behind Bill Belichick, it's hard to say there's not at least a conversation to be had.
Yeah, the only pushback I can give you with the 6 Super Bowl argument is just that look at his record without Tom Brady. Because when he was in Cleveland before he had Tom Brady, he was awful, and when he was in New England after Tom Brady, he was awful. And he's also shown that as far as a player development and a drafting standpoint, he's not good at that either. So it is interesting. But no, I see where you're coming from. It is hard to argue against 6 rings. Rob, what were your thoughts here?
Well, I think if I take it at different levels, with Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll both out of the NFL, at least currently, it's, I think, a universal opinion that Andy Reid's the best coach in the NFL.
Oh,
currently.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think even with Bill Belichick still in the NFL this past couple of years, Andy Reid was the best coach in the NFL, but that's an argument for a different day.
Yeah, and it's to me no question now. So there's that level. If you go up to the greatest coach of all time, I think he's, in my opinion, minimum top 5, maybe top 3 or 4. I think my thing is that if he were to, so he's obviously older, he's been around for a while. If he were to say he coaches X amount of years, and Travis Kelce lasts X amount of years, because Mahomes will outlast both of them, barring some insane injury. If he were able to, I'm sort of in the boat with Justin. If in the next, let's say 3 years, if they were to continue to make Super Bowls, AFC Championship games, and or win Super Bowls, and say he gets 4 or 5, and it's this consistent in this run, there is no doubt in my opinion that he would be. I'm kind of in the middle. I wouldn't say it yet, but I don't think it's crazy to say he's the greatest of all time. I'm kind of in the middle of you two.
I got you.
And I think it's not just to me. The Belichick run is crazy because it was a 20-year run. It wasn't obviously as back to back like the Mahomes Andy Reid run has been. That was over a long period of time, and some might argue that's more impressive because it was just over that long a period of time. But I think that if he were to keep this going and it's in this sequence like this where it's just seemingly unstoppable, and arguably this is the worst year the Chiefs will have because
and
you'd have to think
wins.
they'll draft. Yes, they'll draft receivers. or they'll develop receivers like Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce I'm sure will probably be back next year after, I would think. He may have another year or two left. And so, again, this may be the worst year they'll have, and they made it to Super Bowl and probably will win. So that's scary for the rest of the NFL. So I'm kind of in the middle. Don't think it's crazy. I wouldn't be there yet.
I got you. Cool. Yeah, I just thought that was a fun little question with that. I see both of y'all's opinions. I don't think he's the greatest coach ever right now, but I think if he wins one more, like if he wins this year, and then say they make like the AFC Championship game next year and lose to Cincinnati or something like that, and then he retires, I think I would call him the greatest ever, because then at that point you're looking at 7 straight AFC Championship games, and he would be at that point 23 of 26 seasons without a losing record and all that. Like, it would just be like unheard of success, because it just, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. So we've got kind of I guess you can't really call it Taverner's Tears. Why don't we call it Taverner's, yeah, I don't have a good name for this. Justin's going to ask us Justin's going to ask us to compare the position groups for each team, and we'll vote on which one has the better of the two. So Justin, whenever you're ready.
All right. So I figure I would also give my input, so that we have 3 different rankings, or 3 different votes, and whoever has the majority of the votes will win that position group. So without further ado, let's get into it. So comparing, let's start out with quarterbacks. Who are you guys taking, Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy?
This is a tough one.
Man, this is really tough.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take Joe Burrow. No, I'm just kidding. Patrick Mahomes.
I will be taking Patrick Mahomes the second.
Me as well. So that is 1 for the Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Running back room. So for the Chiefs, we got Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And for the Niners, we have Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. Who are we going with?
I will say, for me, this is tough. I think I'd still go the 49ers just because McCaffrey's been so insane this year. Pacheco, I think, is maybe the most underrated running back in the NFL, because he's a dog. Like, he will go out there and just put up yards, and you forget about him so much because they've got Mahomes and Kelce, and you just forget that Pacheco is a beast and has been now this year and last year. Edwards-Helaire I honestly forgot he was still on the Chiefs. I was watching them last week.
He definitely just kind of. Yeah, he definitely just kind of returned from the grave randomly. Like, he was just like,
yeah.
It felt like he was off the team last year and like most of this year. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, wait, is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
But no, for me, it'd be 49ers.
I kind of agree with Rob. It's like, this feels closer than it should be. I mean, it's still you got to go Christian McCaffrey. I mean, but I feel like there's more of an argument for Kansas City than you might think. But it's Christian McCaffrey and the Niners.
I honestly don't think it's that close. I think Christian McCaffrey, to me, is, like I've said multiple times on this podcast, that he's the best running back I've ever watched and probably ever. So I think it's easy for me. It's the Niners. So we are tied 1-1 right now.
I feel like I know who's going to win.
Let's get into let's get into the wide receiver room. So starting out with Kansas City, we have Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Sky Moore, Richie James, McCole Hardman, and Kadarius Toney. And for the Niners, we have Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Jawan Jennings. Who you guys going with?
I think on this one, honestly, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk matched the production of MVS, Sky Moore, Richie James, McCole Hardman, and Kadarius Toney by themselves. And then Rashee Rice is offset by Jawan Jennings. So with that being said, I'm going to lean San Francisco.
Yeah, I mean, Kadarius Toney, he's...
I'm not even sure.
What a guy.
I don't even know if he's going to play.
Yeah. He is self-proclaimed number 1 receiver in the NFL today.
When he gets it.
So, when he gets it, there's that. No, 49ers, easy.
Yeah, I got to go 49ers here as well. So 49ers now lead 2-1. All right, tight ends. Kansas City, obviously Travis Kelce, and San Francisco, we have George Kittle. Who you guys got? This was a close one.
This one's tough. Sorry, Rob. This
You
one,
go ahead.
This one's tough because if we're just looking off of this season, I think I have to lean George Kittle. But obviously, if you go off of, who's got the championship mentality and who would I rather count on to make the big plays when they matter, you go Travis Kelce. But this is, like Justin said, this is a lot tougher than I think it should be. I think I'm going to go with Travis Kelce in Kansas City. But it was honestly, like, I had to really think about this one. This one was a lot closer than, originally I was like, oh, Travis Kelce, easy. But then I thought about how they've played this season, and I'm like, it's closer.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you compare this to season to season, it is closer than you think. But just because, and not saying Kittle couldn't do this because I think he's a great tight end, but Travis Kelce could go out there like he did last week and catch, 11 of 11 passes, and then the first half looked like looked like the greatest tight end of all time, which I think he is. So, Mr. Taylor Swift is who I'm voting for.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with both of you. While I do think that if you're looking at the full season, Kittle's had a better season. I think if you strictly look at the last 3 games, I think Travis Kelce has proved why he is in that consideration for greatest tight end of all time. So I have to go Chiefs. So we are now tied 2-2.
There is something to be said for the championship pedigree. That was the deciding factor for me. But anyway, O-line.
Yeah, next we'll get into the O-line. Obviously, on one side, you have the Chiefs. Joe Thuney's not going to play. It's been announced. Andy Reid said it would be a miracle if he played. And on the other side, you have arguably one of the greatest offensive tackles ever, probably easily the greatest in the game currently, in Trent Williams. So who you guys got for this position?
Go ahead, Rob, since I interrupted you last time.
Oh, no, you're good. I think this is fairly close, actually. I think both O-lines they're not bad. They're not
2021 Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
or 2023 Titans.
Yeah. I feel like it's hard to judge the Chiefs O-line because Mahomes, he's not a running quarterback. He's just such a creative quarterback that he's always going to be dancing around and extending the play, and it's hard to gauge them. Like, it's I suppose like Joe Burrow, for example, who's just pretty much always going to stay in the pocket and see how bad the Bengals O-line is. I probably give the edge to the 49ers though, just a little bit, but it's to me this is a toss up.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think I would probably go the 49ers, actually, because I think Trent Williams is good, and Kansas City, I think you said Thuney was out?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think I got to go San Francisco.
I think I have to agree with both of you. I'm going to go San Francisco as well. So San Francisco now leads 3-2. Onto the defensive side of the ball, we'll start with the D-line. So Kansas City, obviously their notable guys, Chris Jones, really only like the big name they have. And then for the Niners, they obviously acquired Chase Young, and now they have they have him, and they also have Nick Bosa. So what D-line would you take in this game?
First of all, I have no idea how I missed Nick Bosa's name when I was looking.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at the notes, and I was like, I could have sworn Nick Bosa was still alive.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I missed that.
I looked at the roster and I must have just glanced right over his name. That being said, I think this one's kind of easy, to be honest. I think it's San Francisco. I think they have arguably one of the best D-lines in football. And I'm going to lean San Francisco here. So
I'm going to lean San Francisco as well, even though Chase Young isn't what he was in Washington before he got hurt. Nick Bosa is incredible, and Chris Jones is great too. Don't get me wrong, but just when you I think Nick Bosa is better than Chris Jones just one-on-one, like just one-to-one, and then you obviously add Chase Young to that, and he's still really good. So to me, it's the 49ers.
Well, not to mention the rest of Kansas City D-line is just a bunch of guys where you would go, who?
Yes.
Pretty much. I'm also going to take San Francisco. So San Francisco now leads 4-2 in terms of position groups.
Hey, they win the NBA Finals.
Yeah. On to the linebackers. Kansas City, notably, they have Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, and Cam Jones. And San Francisco has Dre Greenlaw, Randy Gregory, and Fred Warner. This one feels easy to me, but let's see what you guys got.
No, I think we're all in agreement, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously
weird
Nick
because I
Bolton
think
and Willie Gay and Cam Jones. So there we go. Easy peasy.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think Kansas City's defense as a whole is much. It's a definition of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Even though Chris Jones by himself is a great player. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are the definitions of what one might call bad men on the football field. If I saw Dre Greenlaw and he was running towards me, I would just literally just crumble. I would die. I would just die right there.
That Geno Smith clip. Oh my
God! You would evaporate.
Yeah. So.
I think we're in agreement. Niners.
Yeah. It's crazy
that we
haven't had a single.
5-2.
We haven't had a single split vote yet.
I think it's. On to the DBs. For Kansas City, notably, we have L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Watson, and Justin Reed. And all Ben gave me for the Niners was who? So I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
The Chiefs.
From what I was seeing, I don't think the Niners have much in the way of defensive backfield. There's probably a name that I'm forgetting that if we had any kind of following, I'm sure I'd get roasted for, but I just can't think of anyone. And honestly, I feel like their pass defense has been their one weak area. So, yeah, I'm gonna lead San Francisco. No, I'm gonna lead Kansas City here, and
I concur.
All right, so I think we agree. So Niners now lead 5-3, and that only leaves kickers. So kind of going off of this, there's 3 seconds left. The game is 24-23. Your team is down. Who would you rather have, Harrison Butker or Jake Moody? And don't say I want Iguodala.
I want Iguodala.
Brett Maher.
All right, guy.
No, you remember?
I'll take Adam Vinatieri.
Do you remember Maher missing 5 straight extra points in that wild card game?
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Oh gosh, I think Jake Moody's a good kicker. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good kicker. I know Harrison Butker has had some injury issues and has had some accuracy issues, but lately. But one kicker here has consistently hit field goals in the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl the last 4 years, and one of these guys has not. And if I need someone to be calm in the moment, I want someone who's been there before. And with that being said, I want Harrison Butker.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's Butker all the way for me. He may arguably be the most underrated aspect of the Chiefs. This, I don't want to say dynasty, but this run they've been on.
I think it's a dynasty.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'd probably go Butker. So with that, the Niners positionally, when matching up with the Chiefs on paper, win 5-4 and theoretically should win this game, but all 3 of us picked the opposite. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well,
as
you've said, they've got Patrick Mahomes and they've got Andy Reid and they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We should have done coaches too. I feel like that one would have been the most interesting debate.
That actually probably would be.
Because I feel like.
Well, I kept it to just positions.
Yeah. Anyway, that was fun. Let's move on. We've got some fun Super Bowl prop bets created by Justin for us here at the Rundown to think about and give our picks. And I honestly love them. They're fun. Justin, why don't you give us these lines and we'll pick from there.
All right, sounds good. So some of these were pulled off of betting apps, but it's fun to look at. So we're gonna start out with the national anthem because that's the first thing we see. The current line is set at 90.5 seconds. It is being sung by Reba McEntire. Her most notable performance of the national anthem was in the 1997 World Series, Game 3 between the Marlins and the Cleveland Indians. and that came in at 83 seconds. Oh, the question is, is she going to live into the Super Bowl, the big hype? Is she going to hold the notes a little longer? Or, is she going to keep it around that 83, 84 second mark? What are we taking? Over, under? 90 and a half seconds.
1997. Good Lord.
Yeah, no, that's like forever ago.
Wow.
I wasn't even born yet.
I was. But that's because I'm a fossil.
You're old.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I feel like I want to leave. I feel like I want to lean over. I'm not sure what Chris.
I'm gonna be writing these down so we can just revisit them for fun.
Yeah, fair enough. Hit or miss, you roast me for getting the national anthem prop bet wrong.
Watch me.
Yeah, I think I would lean over. I don't know what Chris Stapleton's was, but Reba McEntire I feel like is gonna kind of lead into it a little bit, so I would go over.
I'm actually going to go the opposite route and take the under on this. I'm not a big Reba Well, I'm not really even. I like her a lot. Like I know some of her like big hit songs, but I don't feel like she's one to like really lean into the vibrato a lot. Like some of these performers really like try to elongate the notes and try to make it a big spectacle. And I think she will to an extent. I just think if it was someone who had a little more theatrics behind, I don't think of Reba as being super theatrical. I think she's pretty straightforward. I think it'll be close, and it could easily be over, but I'm going to lean just slightly under.
I think they should have gotten Fergie.
I second that.
Something has happened with Justin's audio. I don't know if he's lagging or what, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, I sent some lagging. He is now frozen.
Well, while he figures that out, I'll go ahead and he's gone. While he figures that out, I'll go ahead and read the next one. So, the next prop bet was.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now. You kind of froze for a second.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had to unplug something. While I work on getting my video back, I will go ahead and read the next one.
Okay.
The next one is the coin flip. So historically, tails wins 52% of the time in the Super Bowl. I know it's supposed to be 50-50, but it is 52% tails.
It's rigged.
And notably, in the last 10 Super Bowls, tails has won 7 times. So what are you guys going here, heads or tails?
I'm taking heads.
I'm more of a tails guy. That just feels like the right way to go.
I'm taking heads.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It feels like a heads kind of year.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. It's heads or it's 50-50, heads or tails. I mean, there's only one way this can go.
I just don't think I'm going to be able to get my video back.
That's okay.
So, sorry about that. We'll just have to go video lists for the last little bit.
I really like your little penguin with the book on its head there. It's fun.
Yeah,
thanks.
It's really bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So you guys both said tails?
No, I said heads.
Okay.
I said tails.
Okay, I'm also going to go tails. I think it's tails has been on an insane run lately, so just going to stick with the hot hand here.
Yeah. I'm calling
the
upset.
It's hard to bet against them.
All right, next one. Of course, we have to do it. Is Taylor Swift. She's going to be there. So the over under is currently set at 42.5 seconds. Like Riley said, I think it's been, what was it, 150 seconds across 9 games. I think it averages about 25 seconds a game. But this is the Super Bowl. Maybe she's on there. Maybe she's up there a little bit more. So 42.5 seconds, over under.
I'm going to go over just because I think the Chiefs will win, which means she will be on the field, which means there will be longer times where she will be shown with Kelsey, which is why I'm taking the over.
Now, are we saying this just for the game, or is this counting post-game? That's going to change my answers. That's why I need to know.
Yeah, that obviously will change my answer. That's why I have the overs. I'm including post-game.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Should we do the entire broadcast, or should we just do from the moment it kicks off to when the clock hits 0?
I think those stats are just during the game, like the ones that we've been
All
seeing.
right, then let's
So
just
do
do it during the game from the moment the ball is kicked to when the clock hits 0 and we have a winner. 42 and a half seconds.
Well, I'm going under because that literally changes my entire argument. So
Yeah.
for all the reasons I just said, I will go under.
I think I'm gonna go under as well. However, I think if Travis Kelce just has one of those like stupid, like he's got 4 touchdown receptions and 200 yards, I think it'll go over that way. But I'm gonna pick under for now.
All right, I'm gonna go against you guys. I'm gonna say over. I think there's just gonna be too much coverage. It's too big of a game, and she's already made the NFL enough money that they're just gonna continue to lean into it, and they're gonna sit here and think, why not? So I'm gonna go over.
Fair enough. Travis Kelce's just gonna catch
All right.
200 yards and 4 touchdowns. And
Probably. All right. Next, we have the Gatorade Bath Color. So there are currently 5 popular colors, and then we have a couple different options. So we'll start. The current betting favorite is purple at plus 225, blue at plus 275, yellow/lime, lemon lime at plus 450, red at plus 500, orange at plus 500. For it to be water dumped on the winning coach is plus 1,000, and for there to be no Gatorade or water bath at all is plus 1,600. So a $100 bet would win you $1,600 if that were to happen. What are we going with?
I'm going to go lemon lime just because that's my favorite Gatorade. No other reason outside of that.
that's fair.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna go.
This is a fun one.
I'm going red. And the reason being is that the Chiefs, obviously their colors are red, but also Taylor Swift has an album called Red. And I just,
Good one.
I just feel like there's going to be some sort of
Nefarious business going on.
Yeah, it's going to be how the script writers are letting us know that they're in control.
Good one. I'm going to
they'll
go
be like,
blue.
Blue. Okay.
I
That's my
think
favorite.
blue has been on for I think I saw recently that blue has been on kind of a tear. So I'm gonna go blue.
Fair enough. That's my favorite Gatorade, so.
Yeah. All right, we got 3 more for you. The next 3 all have to do with the halftime show. So we'll start out with the number of songs. And to qualify for this, there has to be at least 10 seconds from that song played. So it can't just be like a, oh my, and then it like goes into a different song. So the over-under is currently 8.5. Do we think that Usher will perform more or less than 8.5 songs? Hello?
I'm pondering.
I'm
gonna probably. Oh, you go ahead, Ben.
I would say 8. I'm actually gonna go under. The most that we've seen recently, I feel like, is the 2022 halftime show, where we got Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all them, and I mean, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did 2, and then 50 Cent did 1, and then Mary J. Blige did 2, Kendrick did 2, Eminem did 1, and then Dr. Dre ended with 1. That's 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that was with all of
and that feels like a lot.
So I would tend to go under here.
I think I'm going way under just for that reason. Like, you get, 10, 12 minutes maybe? And you have to mesh all of these songs together and, make little clips of them. It's not the full-length song. It's like 30 minutes, minute and a half, maybe something like that. So I'm definitely going the under on this.
Once again, I'm going to try to be different here, and I'm going to say the over. I think that, Usher has paired with too many different performers and artists that I think there's enough to go around where I think he's going to try to fit in a bunch of different songs. So I'm going to go over. And speaking of my different performers and artists, that actually leads us into our next one. Some guest performers. So the favorite to come onto the stage and perform with Usher is currently Alicia Keys, going off at minus 330. Ludacris at minus 250. Lil Jon at minus 105. will.i.am at plus 220, Nicki Minaj at plus 280, Pitbull at plus 350, Justin Bieber at plus 450, and then we have a tie for Lil Wayne and Taylor Swift at plus 500.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is only in that because of the hype around her.
Oh yeah, it's because she's gonna be there. So,
Yeah.
so who do you guys think has the best chance of performing with Usher?
I'm gonna take this one in a parlay. I'm gonna do a 3-leg parlay because I think Usher has a lot of songs with guests, and a lot of his big songs have guests on them. So I'm gonna do a parlay with Ludacris, Lil Jon, and Pitbull because and then we're gonna get this in the next one. You can guarantee that "Yeah" is gonna be one of the songs which features, I believe, both Lil Jon and Ludacris. So that covers that right there, in my opinion.
I'm going to say right now, if this halftime show doesn't start out with "Peace Up, A-Town," I'm not watching the rest of it. Yeah, I'm going to actually agree with taking the parlay. I would take Ludacris, Lil Jon, and will.i.am.
All right. I'm surprised none of you guys said this, but for me, growing up, 6th, 7th grade, it was Baby, man. It was Baby. Justin Bieber.
If they play
I think Justin
Baby,
Bieber.
If they play Baby during the Super Bowl halftime show, I will never watch a Super Bowl halftime show again.
Write that down, Justin. Get that in writing.
I'm not
I
committing
will.
to that because we all
It's
know that's
recording.
not true. But I will not be happy.
I think Justin
All
Bieber's a little bit too big to get him just as a guest. That's why I think Lil Jon, Ludacris, and Pitbull are like the perfect.
I think
Because if they want Justin Bieber, they could get to just be the headliner. In my
I think
opinion.
Bieber used to be too big to be as.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he is as big as he was probably 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah. Anyway.
True.
All right. And then finally, we have 5 songs currently as the favorite for the first song played. The favorite right now is "Yeah" at plus 225. Second favorite is "My Way" also at plus 225. Third is "DJ Got Us Fallen in Love" at plus 500. Fourth is "Love in This Club" at plus 600. And plus 800 is OMG, or Oh My God.
Dude,
So
I am
which one of those songs do you think is going to be the first one performed by Usher?
Hammering that "Oh My God" at plus 800.
All right, well, I'm gonna write that down for you.
I could totally see that being the opening song.
I could too. I definitely would not pick "Yeah" just because I think that's the closer. Undoubtedly, yeah. I think you could almost lock that up that he would close with "Yeah." I think I would like 90% of me would go OMG. If I wanted to change things up a little bit, I might go DJ Got Us Falling in Love again. But I think OMG is probably the best bet.
I cannot, for the life of me, picture what "Love in This Club" sounds like right now.
I wanna make love in this club.
Yeah. I knew as soon as I heard it, I'd be fine.
We just get Justin to perform.
Yeah.
Forget Usher.
Honestly, yeah. Surprise! I'm actually gonna be I'm gonna be in the halftime show.
Heard you wouldn't.
You heard correctly. My pick, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you guys, is gonna be OMG. I think that's one of his more iconic songs, and I think it's a good
opener.
Get the hype, get the crowd hyped, and get the show rolling.
I can just see it now, like the camera's going down the walkway, there's smoke everywhere, and you just hear "Oh my gosh," and then oh.
It would be fire.
I can just hear it.
Cool. Oh yeah.
Well, I think that's all of our prop bets, isn't it?
Yeah, that'll do it. I have them all written down, so we can kind of come back to them.
Perfect. Well, before we get into our final segment, Hot Takes, I do have one more segment of breaking news. 31 minutes ago, the Giants are not going to be tagging superstar running back Saquon Barkley, and he will hit the open market as a free agent, per ESPN. That was like a half hour ago. So I heard Jim Harbaugh is really interested in him, and that would be crazy. I know that we can talk about that another time, but I just saw that news and I was like, holy cow. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to hot takes. So, let's have Rob give us your hot takes here. Just give us one and we'll rotate.
Okay. All right. So my first one is they're both NFL related. If the 49ers win the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan is already one of the top 10 coaches in NFL history. Now, this is a hot take. There's some hot takes where you kind of believe. This is one that's really hot because I don't know if I even believe it. But I'm not saying it's the same level as the Chiefs run, but the 49ers have also had quite a run these last few years. I don't recall off the top of my head how many NFC Championship games they've made since he took over. However, I just can't off the top of my head. But the fact that he has been able to win, he went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's done what he's done with Brock Purdy is just insane, in my opinion. I think he's a great offensive coach. He's not just great offensive. He's a great offensive mind, but a great coach all around. He's still incredibly young. He comes from a legendary family of coaches. And I think that I won't go into it yet since we'll rotate, but this will catapult my next hot take, is that the 49ers also kind of have a little thing going. And so I think he's already, top 3-5 coaches in the NFL right now, maybe higher. But that is my first hot take.
Cool. My first hot take is NBA related, actually. The Oklahoma City Thunder will play the Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals this year.
Yes, sir.
I think Oklahoma City has been a team that, I mean, you can ask Justin. I've been high on all year. I think they are crazy good, and I think that the Clippers have surprised me. I think that Russell Westbrook moving to the bench and them getting James Harden, I think that's been arguably one of the best moves they've made, and this team looks scary. So that would be my first hot take. Justin?
My first hot take is that Christian McCaffrey will win Super Bowl MVP. I know this is a hot take because I also chose Kansas City to win. One of these I think is going to be right. So the reason I say that is because of the running backs that have won Super Bowl MVP, they usually have to rush for 100 yards, score a touchdown, and their team has to win. And if there's something that Christian McCaffrey excels in, it's finding the end zone. And I think if they find themselves up in this game, they're going to continue to ride him and let him take you off into the sunset and win your Super Bowl. And if he does those three things, I think he wins the MVP.
Fair enough. All right, Rob, give us your second one.
My second hot take, and the one that I think is the more likely or plausible one of the two, is that if the 49ers win the Super Bowl and Brock Purdy is the MVP, he is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I was one of the ones who said that Brock Purdy is just a great game manager and he's a system quarterback based on what the 49ers have on their team right now, the weapons he's got. And he, it is very beneficial to him, obviously, to have McCaffrey and Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Debo and the weapons he's got. But I don't know. The NFC Championship game just really highlighted something to me that it's not just a fluke, in my opinion. He really does have something in him. Now, he can still easily screw up, like we've said earlier, and, that not be the case. But I think that if he plays well as MVP, throws from 300 yards, does some, rushes for maybe 25 or 30 scrambling yards like he did last week, I don't think it's that crazy to think that he's that high of a quarterback in the NFL.
Okay. My second hot take is that if Kansas City wins this Super Bowl, they are the greatest dynasty in NFL history, and that Mahomes will be a top 2 quarterback of all time with Tom Brady as his only competition. The reason being is kind of what all I said with the Andy Reid GOAT debate, but you get 6 straight AFC Championship games, you get 3 Super Bowls in 4 appearances, and you have just a team where they're never out of it. I know, like, the Patriots dynasty is kind of favored as the greatest for now, but you look at theirs is almost split into like 3 different dynasties, because it's like you had that like decade in between Super Bowls where they didn't win a Super Bowl, but they were like high powered offense, and then the beginning and end were very much carried more by like defense and stuff like that. So I think that that'll be the greatest dynasty in NFL history, and I think this will be the greatest 6-year stretch of any team in NFL history.
My final hot take. I got my video back. So,
welcome back.
My final hot take is that the New York Knicks will make the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They have just been on an absolute tear. Jalen Brunson is playing at. I think he was snubbed. I think he should have been an all-star starter. And I know they're going to miss Julius Randle for a little bit, but I still think that with Jalen Brunson, this team can go really far. They'll get Julius Randle back for the playoffs, obviously. Playoffs aren't for another 2 months or so. So I just think with that team, and the way that they're playing right now, I think that they can absolutely go on a run.
Interesting. Well, we've had some fun takes, and a fun episode. So guys, the Super Bowl's here. Our preview week is done, and the next time we have an episode, the Super Bowl will have happened.
We'll have a lot to talk about. We're going to be breaking that down for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, we had a lot to talk about this week, and there wasn't even any games aside from, I guess, the Pro Bowl. But it's it's the Pro Bowl. So anyway, with that being said, guys, it's been fun. Rob, it was a pleasure having you on as always. And if nobody else has any extra thoughts, I'll close this out. So
yeah, I'm good.
An honor and a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you all, and to our listeners, thank you guys so much for watching / listening to the rundown. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or on our YouTube channel where you can find the video. With that being said, we appreciate all of you, and we hope you have a great day.